All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. As today we go through a little update on just all the stuff that's out there in Niner land. If for you hardcore 49er fans, as we are in that kind of downtime between OTAs and training camp. Training camp set to begin with the first practices July the 26th. July the 26th. By the way, I was walking down the street in Boston yesterday. Who did I walk right by and said, "Hey, Larry"? Al Guido, the president of the 49ers, was in town in Boston, just walking around town. Maybe for the World Cup. I don't know. I mean, I know the World Cup's both at Levi's, but now the World Cup stages have moved to Foxborough for Germany. Maybe he came out to see some World Cup. That would be my guess of what Al Guido, the president of the Niners, was doing in Boston. Of course, the Krug Show also brought to you by Prize Picks. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Check them out there in Emeryville, Corte Madera, soon to open in Petaluma. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get some brisket chili. Tell them Krug sent you. The Krug Show is also presented by Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. Prize Picks is super simple. You just pick more or less on player stats or game outcomes and build your lineup. It's available in most states, including California. So if you haven't checked it out yet, use code HMA. And when you play $5, you get $50 in lineups, and it will happen instantly. And also, thank you to Novato Chevrolet, family-owned dealership for over 50 years. Owner is Gus. He's a great guy. Friendly staff, huge selection, easy financing options. Bay Area's EV headquarters. Great sponsor of the Krug Show. Thank you to Adam Rogers and Miguel Lopez, two of their top sales guys there at Novato Chevrolet. When I buy a Chevrolet, I only buy it from Novato Chevrolet, and so should you. Go in there and check them out. Great dealership, family-owned. You're going to love those guys. All right, let's get into our 49er recap of what's going on. Mac Jones is living his best life. Every time I see Mac Jones, it makes me smile. I mean, first of all, the guy's a hell of a football player. He's a really good dude. He's a really good Niner. I hope the Niners could keep him long-term. It doesn't sound like they can, but man, he's been a great Niner. And over the weekend, he was up in Sonoma for the NASCAR Series race at Sonoma. And, Mac Jones is, once again, he's living his best life. He's at the Sonoma Raceway over the weekend. Here's a little audio of Mac Jones from Sonoma this weekend.
Let's go, boys. Time to lock.
Yeah, he hopped down. They're ready.
Let's go, boys. Yep. 5, 4.
See how fast he came in here?
Bro, he almost hit
There you go. Mac Jones living his best life. I mean, what can you say? I mean, Mac Jones is having fun. He's having fun in Northern California, having fun as a 49er. Kyle Juszczyk made a comment that is making the rounds. And Kyle Juszczyk has just said that Mike Evans has been totally unguardable in practice. Now, it's funny. Some people thought, oh, well, maybe they're setting up Evans to, try to build confidence in this and that. They're not. I mean, he's just a really good receiver. He's a future Hall of Famer. The guy has produced, 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons until last year, or whatever it is. Just very, very good in the red zone. I asked him about it after the OTAs. He said, yeah, it's my dimensions that make me a good red zone threat. But it's also his hands, his ball skills, his route running, several of the things he didn't mention. He just said, I'm a big guy in the red zone, and it's a good thing. I do think that Brock Purdy to Mike Evans is going to be prolific because Purdy's really good in the red zone, and without Jennings, without Kittle, especially early on, he's going to need that kind of go-to guy, and I would imagine it's going to be Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is going to be targeted far and away the most of any Niner receiver in the pass game. And it was good to hear Kyle Juszczyk say, man, this guy's cooking people. This guy's unguardable out there, which is awesome to hear. We did have a little audio or a little video of Keon White. Here, we'll put that up as well. Here's Keon White. He put out a video of his rehab. Keon White was shot in the ankle and looks like he's going to be ready for training camp. Now, maybe this footage doesn't show that, but here is Keon White doing some training, and he moves pretty well for a guy who was shot in the ankle. I mean, if I was shot in the ankle, I'd probably be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. This guy, he's rehabbing, and it's like nothing happened. I mean, it's truly an amazing story. So here's a little Keon White. All right, as far as the Brandon Aiyuk situation, there's really no movement on the Aiyuk situation. He wants out. The Niners don't seem inclined to let him out. He's trying to bark at everybody. Now there's a lot of talk coming out of D.C. that maybe the Commanders are not all that interested. I mean, Aiyuk has literally put all of his eggs in the Commanders' basket, and you get the feeling that it's possible the Commanders may just say, you know what, Heisman, give you the stiff arm. And if that happens, wow, that could be a really bad moment for Brandon Aiyuk, because he has been literally begging the 49ers to release him so that he can go play for the Commanders. But the assumption is the Commanders want him. And we know Jaden Daniels wants him. But you know what? The last Jaden Daniels quote on Brandon Aiyuk was a few weeks ago, and he's like, Brandon Aiyuk's football future is out of my control. What? I mean, you guys were literally besties not that long ago. You guys were like, seriously, like sitting there going, oh, if I could just play for him, if he could just play for me, if we could just play together, oh my God, the beautiful music we would make, and this and that. And Aiyuk's calling Jaden Daniels the greatest young quarterback ever, and Daniels is like openly begging for Aiyuk to join him. And now that it's potentially going to happen, Brandon Aiyuk's football future is out of my control. That didn't sound like a guy who was waiting for him to be released by the Niners. That sounded like a guy who may have gotten word from the Commanders that they're not all that fired up about having Aiyuk. You know, it's a weird dynamic here as well, because Aiyuk, of course, is betraying John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. He's calling Shanahan a toddler. He's calling Lynch creepy. I mean, Lynch, you can say whatever you want about Lynch. He's not creepy. There's nothing creepy at all about John Lynch. I mean, seriously. And that's like the last adjective I would use to describe John Lynch. John Lynch is a very straight shooter, great dude. And to call this guy creepy and make it seem like he was doing anything other than checking in on a player that they have a lot of money invested in, he made it sound like he's like, peering through windows. And it's, come on, Brandon. I mean, that's where you lost a lot of people. I mean, you want to say the Niners are vindictive or they're this or that, Shanahan, is emotional, whatever you want to say. But when you start going to John Lynch is creepy, one of the most Hall of Fame safety, great announcer, come on. What are we talking about here? I mean, he has lost any and all credibility once he started calling John Lynch creepy. I thought kind of an interesting thing today that I saw on X, ESPN's Seth Walder has given the 49ers a B+ for their offseason grade, which I think is fair. I think B+, I mean, that's probably what I would give them as well. B+. It's not an A offseason. It wasn't that kind of a draft. It wasn't that kind of a offseason, but it's been a good offseason. And a B+, I think, is a good grade. So I agree with Seth Walder. He says the Seahawks are fresh off a Super Bowl victory, and the Rams spent the offseason loading up for another Super Bowl run. But despite a quieter offseason, the 49ers shouldn't be overlooked in the NFC West. He said San Francisco scored an early victory in free agency, landing Evans on a 3-year deal that pays him just over $14 million per year and is fully guaranteed for only the $14.3 million he'll earn this year. It was clearly a below-market deal, and it's a testament to Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers that Evans wanted to take it to play in San Francisco. I think it's a big statement about the Niners. I think it's a huge statement about Brock Purdy. I think, the fact that Mike Evans said Brock Purdy's all in on football. I don't know if that was a knock at Baker Mayfield, but it seems like maybe there was a little bit of a fracture there. I don't think we're going to hear more about that because I think Evans is going to take the high road. Baker's going to take the high road. But I think Brock Purdy and the fact that he's mentally mature and very serious and very devoted to the craft of being a pro football player, year-round and 7 days a week, I think that was really attractive to Mike Evans. I know he doesn't want to play that up because he doesn't want to take shots on his way out the door at Baker Mayfield. The Krug Show is presented by Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. Prize Picks is super simple, and you just pick more or less on player stats or even game outcomes and build your lineup. It's available in most states, including California. So if you haven't checked it out yet, use code HMA. When you play $5, you get $50 in lineups instantly. But I think if we get a little bit more time with Mike Evans and we get to kind of peel the onion back on exactly the factors of what led him here, I mean, it took less to come here, but also I think it was Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan. I think those guys had a huge hand in that. He goes on. Seth Walder goes on to say it meant the team could upgrade at wide receiver without sacrificing its future financial situation. The fact that Evans took a below market deal. He says Juwan Jennings left in free agency, but the 49ers also added Christian Kirk and used its first draft selection on Deshaun Stribling at pick number 33. He goes on to say the Stribling selection was a bit of a head scratcher. He'd been a late riser, but this was a reach, and reaching in the draft is bad process. He goes on to say the 49ers also had success on the trade market, exchanging a third-round pick for defensive tackle Osa Odigizua. Considering how inflated trade costs are for impact players in their prime, this was good work. Odigizua is coming off a season in which he recorded a pass rush win rate in the 84th percentile. At defensive tackle, I think he was 9th among defensive tackles in pass rush win rate, and he's only going to cost $16.75 million in cash in 2026. Walder goes on to say, and perhaps the biggest move was to maintain the status quo by signing Trent Williams to a new 2-year, $50 million contract, fully guaranteeing $37 million to placate the future Hall of Fame left tackle. Even though Williams will be 38 in July, it still seems worthwhile considering how much top-tier talent costs at other premium positions. Given that and how difficult it is to find quality tackle alternatives, the Niners did well to ensure Williams' status on the team. So he gives him a B+. And then he says the biggest move is signing Trent Williams to that new contract. The move I liked, according to Seth Walder, is signing Mike Evans. The move I disliked was drafting wide receiver Deshaun Stribling with the first pick in round 2. Okay, I mean, fair enough, whatever. I mean, I don't necessarily agree or disagree with that exactly. I would say, if you said to me, what's the biggest move of the 49er offseason? It's trading for Osa Odigizua. He's a 27-year-old defensive tackle who's a top 10 pass rusher. You know, pass rushing defensive tackles, you pay through the nose in free agency and draft capital. It takes a ton to get a top-tier tackle. You know, and the fact that the Niners got a good guy who works hard, who graded out higher than Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams in Dallas last year, they probably should have moved off Kenny Clark, but they had just acquired Kenny Clark, so they moved off of Osa. So to me, getting Osa Odigizua in his prime to add to this defensive line with Bosa and the young defensive players they have from last year's draft, I think that's the best move. I think that's the biggest move of the offseason, getting Osa Odigizua. The move that I liked the most was probably drafting Kaelon Black. Now, it was a little bit of a reach where they got him, but I love this player, man. I love this kid's heart. That's what he's got. I mean, we can talk about the speed and catch. He's tough. He can block. You know, all these things are going to help him get on the field for Bobby T. And Bobby T is not going to put him out there unless he can block. This guy can block. He's not going to put him out there unless he hits the hole. He hits the hole. He's not going to put him out there if he dances in the backfield. He doesn't dance in the backfield. He's not going to put him out there if he can't catch the ball out of the backfield as a receiver. This guy can show it in the minicamp. He can catch it great. So, Kaelon Black, to me, though, the number one trait, the heart. Tremendous heart. He's got great leg strength, and I think he can push the pile in short yardage. I think he's going to be of all the backs the Niners have had during the Shanahan era, you know, they've used different guys as finishers. They used Elijah Mitchell as a finisher, but I think this guy's going to be the ultimate finisher because he can block, he doesn't fumble, he's tough, he runs hard, he moves the pile, he's got more power than Elijah Mitchell and more functional speed. I mean, Elijah Mitchell ran 4.37 for the stopwatch, but he didn't have that functional breakaway speed. Kaelon Black, I think, has demonstrated in the minicamp both incredible speed out of the backfield as a receiver and as a running back. This guy's first 3 or 4 steps is amazing. He hits the hole hard. He gets to that second level. He runs it up there with some courageousness. I really like Kaelon Black. That's the move I like the most. And as far as the move I disliked, I don't know if I hated any of the moves, but Carver Willis as a left tackle from Washington who projects to be Jake Brendel's long-term replacement at center, I don't know. In the 4th round, I didn't love that. Didn't love it. Would have loved to have seen another pass rusher. Would have loved to have seen another defensive player. Would have loved to have seen just not somebody who's not going to play. I don't think Carver Willis is going to play much this year. he gives them, I like him as a prospect. I really do. He's smart. He's athletic. He's tenacious. He's trying to put you on your can on every play. So he goes to the ground. He buries people. I think it will be a good pick long term. But for this team right now, is Carver Willis going to play at all? Is he going to play center? Not unless Jake Brendel gets hurt. And they've got Drake Nugent. They got Brett Toth. They've got other guys. Nick Sakel. So he's probably not going to play center as a rookie, especially since all the cerebral things. He's a smart kid, but as far as all the responsibilities mentally that go into playing center for the 49ers, making all the line calls, all the slides, they put a lot on their center. And that's a big reason they trust Brendel so much, as he's a veteran. He's very smart. And so I don't think Carver Willis is going to play center this year. I think long-term he's going to be a center, but for a team whose window for the Super Bowl is like right now, I wanted to see that 4th-round pick used on somebody that could help us right now, not a future center possibly in a year or two when Brendel hangs it up. Now, 10 years from now, if Carver Willis has an 8-year career, this assessment's not going to look good. But I'm talking about just simply this year. This year, 4th-round draft choice. I would have loved to have seen them add a player that could really help them win the Super Bowl this year, as opposed to a building block potentially for the future. So I like Carver Willis. I don't know if I like that move in the 4th round all that much. And let's finish with this. This is kind of a cute one. Here is a young Niner fan trying to recruit Max Crosby. Run the tape.
What's up?
So,
Are you picture? There you go.
bro, I literally made a post about you like a couple weeks ago. So I gotta ask for the faithful. Would
What's up?
you please join the 49ers?
I can't. Hey, I still appreciate you doing your homework, though. You never know. You're the best, though.
There you go. Cute little girl. Hey, I got to do this for the faithful. I mean, that's just awesome. It's awesome. And Crosby's like, hey, I can't do it. I can't. Was he going to turn his back on the Raider Nation? I thought that was so cute. So cute. So cute of her to kind of put that out there. Kind of shows that her probably parents put her up to it, but whatever. Anyway, good little video there for sure with Max Crosby and a Niner fan saying, come to San Francisco. Awesome. Awesome stuff. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. Thank you to Prize Picks, and thank you to Novato Chevrolet, and thanks to you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.